Welcome to Inspiring IT Leaders, where we feature top technology leaders and those amazing expressions they use to communicate, to teach, and to inspire. I'm Dan Roberts, your host of this series of 5-minute, high-impact micro videos. I am beyond excited to shine the light on the top digital and business leaders who are standout communicators. In this episode, we feature Judith Henderson, who has held critical leadership roles at several brand name companies that you would recognize: Farmers Insurance, Mutual of Omaha, USAA, to name a few. Listen to her advice on taking the long view with our teaching, mentoring, and coaching, recognizing that the teacher appears when the students are ready. Take it away, Judith.
The teacher appears when the students are ready is something that I regularly say, whether it's at home, it's just in life in general. And I've learned throughout my career that oftentimes we're so motivated to try to get our position across to help people to understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish, that we forget that sometimes people just aren't ready for that conversation. And it's not a personal indictment on whether or not you're capable or you're competent in your craft or your discipline. And when this particular, the teacher appears when the students are ready, when I really internalize that, I recognize that my part, what I have control over, is to set the best stage for whatever message it is that I'm trying to send, or insight that I'm hoping for someone to gain. And if they don't actually get that insight at that time, it doesn't mean that they won't get that insight. It may be whatever's happening in their world, whatever's happening around them, just doesn't have them in a position for them to be able to receive. And it was really, it became clear to me back when I was in my early part of my career, and I would just get so frustrated when I would be sharing something with a senior leader, and inevitably it didn't fall or land where it needed to. And then lo and behold, maybe a consultant would come in and say the exact same thing. And I would find myself really frustrated and irritated. Like, I said that 14 times, you wouldn't listen. And so I could either stay in that mindset, or I could step back and approach this from curiosity, saying, you know what, at that time, for that moment, maybe it wasn't intended to be received, but we've now arrived at that moment in time, whatever that insight is that we're trying to share. Now is the time when it's going to not only take hold and actually be heard, but we can institutionalize or operationalize whatever that insight is. And so it took the pressure off myself to say, can I look myself in the mirror and say that I've done everything possible to share some message or some goal, and if it isn't immediately received, but I've done my part, I can step away from that and know at some point in the future that may come to fruition. It doesn't have to be when I present it. It might be better for the organization if people get that insight at a different time. Maybe the company wasn't ready to institutionalize whatever that insight is. And basically what I found is this liberates us as individuals, as leaders, from having to make our point heard all of the time in the time that we believe it's necessary. And now I can look back over my career and I can see some of those key points where, no wonder it wasn't received at this time, because we weren't ready as an organization to really let that take root. And so it's a very liberating way to approach things from curiosity, to do your best, and then sometimes step away from it, allow it to cultivate, and then ultimately you'll see maybe that change come to fruition, or maybe you won't, but you did your part.
Yeah, I love that leadership, that long-term perspective, the patience. Still a teacher, right? Still making it available. You made me think of years ago, Steve Uzel is an award-winning National Geographic photographer. He was keynoting this conference, and his main point was, as he showed his different pictures on the slides, and he's talking and he's showing these same picture, different part of the day, and then all of a sudden he showed one, and it looked like an entirely different picture. It was just so stunning. And as he showed it, he said, sometimes we just have to wait for the light to be right.
That's right.
Right. And so that's your point, right? The teacher appears when the students are ready. The light is right. Don't force it.
Exactly. And it happens all of the time when you're communicating to especially a broader group of individuals, because everybody's at a different place on their continuum with their experience and what they bring to the table. That aha moment will happen in the time that it's meant to for them. And so not getting all wrapped up in whether or not, I've said it, in fact, I really think it's the antithesis of 7 times 7 different ways. That was a mantra for a long time. And I do believe multiple different ways of trying to communicate a specific message is important. However, sometimes it's not just the number of times that you say it. It's, are the people in an environment, is the environment ready? Is the company ready to receive it? Doesn't matter if you say it 50 times. If they're not in receive mode, it's not the right time. And to be okay with that is important. I feel like approaching from curiosity, allowing things to play out. And then when that aha happens and you happen to be in the same company still, you're like, and they go, now I get what you were saying, Judith. And then it's a positive experience. But if I just keep hammering it into them and they're still not in a place to receive for whatever reason, that's not really great leadership in my mind. Great leadership is allowing people to, on their own journey, nudging them when you need to, and then being available to them when they do have their aha moment. That lasts so much longer than if you force fit. You will get this point that I'm trying to make. Step back and allow it to progress naturally.
So good, Judith. It's such a great leadership nugget. It's also a great parent nugget, for those who have teenagers right now. You know what? The student will appear, they may be in their 20s and they come back and say, I get it, but you take
That's
that
right.
long-term view. So
yeah, I look forward to that validation for my 20-somethings. And I'm getting it, here and there, that, oh, Mom, now I get it. When you said this is what you were talking about. I just didn't get it then. Well, that's great. I'm glad you got it now. And how, one of the quick sayings that I talk about all the time, it's not so much about making that mistake. It's what did you learn from it? And what are you going to do to prevent it from happening again? And, it took years for our kids to really internalize that. But now they'll come back and say, hey, I had this problem. Here's what I learned from it. And here's what I'm doing to prevent it from happening again. And it changed the way they approach problem solving. And that made all the difference. But they weren't ready when I was first hammering it home.
Well, there you've heard it from Judith Henderson. The teacher appears when the students are ready. So good. Thanks so much, Judith.
My pleasure.
Hey there, I'm Ryan Becker and I'm on the production team for the Inspiring IT Leaders video series. If you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up to help us grow and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Also, be sure to check out the Tech Whisperers podcast, where we take a peek inside the playbooks of the best digital leaders so that we can help you grow your career in tech leadership. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.